watching news at Prime. Good evening to you if you're just joining us. We start with this. The South African government has welcomed a court ruling coming out of Malawi, allowing the pastor, Shepherd Bushiri, and his wife, Mary, to be extradited to South Africa. The pair face multiple criminal charges in two local courts. They fled the country while out on bail. The self-proclaimed prophet at the time raised fears for his life and was worried about receiving a fair trial. South Africa submitted an extradition request to Malawi seeking their return to stand trial on various charges, including rape, violating bail conditions, as well as financial crimes. The Justice Department says it has been informed that the pair intends to appeal this latest ruling. Well, the National Director of Public Prosecutions, Advocate Shamila Batohi, joining us now for a reaction to this. Advocate, good evening to you, and thank you very much for your time. So how significant a victory is this for the NPA? And we might as well deal with the next steps, therefore, that are to follow. These are the legal steps to try and get the pair to South Africa.
Good evening, Koli. I think it's a really important first step, let's say. It's not yet a victory, but because there are appeal processes, but a very, very important decision that has gone in the favor of extraditing Bushiri and his wife, Mary, to South Africa. I think this demonstrates that, firstly, the good cooperation between the two countries, but also demonstrated that as the National Prosecuting Authority, we do have the skills and expertise to deal with extradition requests. This hopefully builds confidence in the criminal justice system, in the ability of the NPA to deal with extraditions. And this follows on the heels of several other successful extradition requests that the NPA has made. Lomas, Richard Payne, Cholota are some that come to mind. So hopefully this will indeed instill confidence that the NPA is able to deal with extradition requests.
Yeah. Looking at the pair's social media trial, Advocate, they seem to be looking at this as a victory from their end, because they're saying in total they faced 13 charges, and 10 of those they say the court has dismissed in Malawi, and 3 remain, and that is why they intend appealing. How would you react to them seeing this as a victory on their side?
Of course, suspects or accused persons would make statements. I can't really comment on that. But to say that we were confident in all the charges that we had presented, but I think even though some of them, have not been confirmed by the court in Lilongwe, the fact that they are extraditable on very, very serious charges like rape, I think it is important that victims in this matter will, hopefully, when they are extradited, see justice, and that the Bushiris will get their day in court to address these allegations against them, knowing full well that all their fair trials rights that are guaranteed in our constitution will be respected.
Yeah. The Bushiris, they fled South Africa after being granted bail. The question, therefore, is what lessons has the NPA learned from this case, particularly regarding bail conditions for high-profile individuals who face very serious crimes?
I think it's really important for me to stress that the NPA objected to them being granted bail. That is all the prosecutors can do. We put in a very strong opposition to them being granted bail because we understood that there was a flight risk, and notwithstanding, the court granted them bail. So from the NPA, we do what we have to do. And so in that sense, there are no lessons for us to be learned. We will continue to oppose bail in cases where we believe we should be, but then the granting of bail is left to the hands of the judiciary. And in this case, they were granted bail, regrettably.
Well, your answer, it leaves quite a bit to be desired, because it does suggest that something needs to change from the court's side. Is there something that's being done about that?
Look, that's a question that will have to be put to the judiciary. But I think hopefully there's lessons learned all round in this matter.
Let's talk about the complexities of extradition. Yes, you've listed a number of those that were out of the country but have since been successfully extradited. But have there been challenges in trying to secure international cooperation, particularly in jurisdictions like the UAE? The Guptas are still, South Africans, I think they still think about them when they think of, or they hear of, the words extraditing someone to come and face trial here.
Of course, but certainly I hope that what this case has demonstrated, and the many other successful extradition requests that have been made by the National Prosecuting, of course, through our Department of Justice and the Minister, is that we have the skills and expertise to deal with this. And extradition has a legal aspect and a political aspect. And with regard to the UAE, yes, of course, that is the one very, very high-profile extradition where I would say the NPA or the country failed, but where the UAE courts decided that they were not extraditable. So we are still following the formal processes to understand, the reasoning behind the court for having refused it, because in any future extradition, we need to ensure that that our extradition application deals with these issues so that we have the best possible chance of success in those matters. So on the formal front, we have been engaging with the UAE, and regrettably, we haven't yet received responses to some of our key questions. But that doesn't mean we're not doing anything. We have been engaging with the UAE in many fora, including the Globe E fora, which is a forum, the Globe E Forum, which actually tries to get countries to work together. The UAE and South Africa were both at the last plenary elected to the steering committee. So we are utilizing all these fora to try to ensure that we get the best possible cooperation from the UAE. As far as the cases itself are concerned, the IDAC is working very, very hard on ensuring that we have more charges to add to the extradition request that we will make in the future.
Yeah. Still on the topic of extradition, Advocate, I'll come back to in a moment about the strength of our legal framework around that. Interesting that you mention that this extradition process does not only deal with the legal, but there are also political considerations here. Is it clear today how the Bushiris escaped from South Africa to begin with? You will remember there was quite a lot of speculation about their time of escape, which seemed to coincide with the visit of the head of state of that country to South Africa.
Look, I don't want to speculate about it, but what I can say is that as the national director, I have no idea how they were able to leave our country. And so, that's a question that's perhaps best posed to other, entities. But certainly as the National Prosecuting Authority, I still don't understand how that happened.
Yeah. Well, they've indicated their intention to appeal. How confident are you as the NPA of the legal framework that will ensure that ultimately they are brought here to stand trial?
Well, I should say that as a first step, the fact that the court in Lilongwe in Malawi has found that they are extraditable to South Africa gives us a lot of confidence in the legal system. This evening, I spoke to the DPP in Malawi, and we have worked very, very closely with the Office of the DPP during this entire process. I should say it was a very complicated process. It was one where, surprisingly, the court required us to testify. And so the DPP in Pretoria, Advocate Mzanyati, actually traveled to Lilongwe and testified in their courts. And so there was a lot of collaboration. And the DPP this evening, in my conversation with him, advised me that as soon as they are served with the papers for the appeal, he will share them with us so that we can strategize and continue our collaboration. So I am hopeful and reasonably confident in the system in Malawi that at the end of the day, justice will prevail.
Yeah. With the appeal processes, therefore, it may be difficult for you to put any particular timelines as to whether by the time that your term comes to an end, they possibly could be in South Africa. That does come to an end in January of 2026, Advocate. Do you think that if they are extradited before then, your term, at least, will end on a high note, so to speak?
Well, I suppose it's really not about my term. It's about whether victims in this case will receive justice as soon as they can. So I certainly hope that the processes in Malawi will be expedited to ensure that.
Advocate Shamila Batohi, thank you very much for your time. The head of the NPA reacting tonight to the court ruling in Malawi, which has indicated that there are now possibilities for these two to be extradited.